Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Talk Busy with Lizzy podcast. I'm your host, Lizzy. And don't worry, this is an interview episode. I know, those are my favorites. So, I need to get more people on, and I'm so excited to finally have more people on. I have enough for all the way through December, which is so cool. But I could not be more excited for this week's episode. I have been following along with this lady. Her name is Robin. She runs Stay With Me 407, which is an organization that helps women get out of prostitution, helps them once they're out of prostitution, and helps them get out of human trafficking as well, which I have a huge, huge heart for. And if you didn't know, I went to school to be a social worker, so I've learned some of the stuff that she talks about, which is heartbreaking. But she carries herself so well. She is so articulate. She has such good insight. She grew up in Amsterdam, and where prostitution is legal, so she talks a little bit about that. She also talks about it in the US, the differences. She's now stationed in Florida with her husband, which is so cool. She is working on starting this organization back in the States now. So she has lots of work to do. She is working hard. She's amazing. I just love that she took the time to sit down with me and talk about it. So I cannot wait for you guys to hear this episode. You're not going to want to miss it. So without any further ado, let's just get right into the episode. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so grateful that you agreed to come on. I started following you a little while ago, and just the stuff you do is just amazing, and the way you put it all together on social media is beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I just started the social media side of it. So every time someone is happy, I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
I'm doing something good. Yes.
Well, it truly is really amazing.
Thank you.
So I guess we can just jump into questions. My first question is, what is Stay With Me 407? For example, what do you do?
All right. So I'm a social worker. I work with victims of human sex trafficking and women who have been in prostitution or who are still in prostitution. Mm-hmm. So it kind of has two sides. Stay With Me is my organization, and I have set it up because I really want to enforce the chain, the anti-human trafficking chain that is already in place. So yeah, that's the shortest answer I can give you.
Yeah. So why and when did you start Stay With Me 407?
So, okay, this goes back a long time ago. Okay, so I've been a social worker for 6 years. Six years, yes. And I've always worked with prostitutes. So I'm from Amsterdam. That's all the way in the Netherlands. Mm-hmm. And there, prostitution is legal. So I grew up and I always saw it around me. And the women just took over my heart because, I'm a woman myself. So my social work was always directed towards helping them. And then a few years back, I thought, I would love to contribute in a way. I would like to do more, because when you're a social worker, you work, if everything is okay, you work in a bunch of organizations and at a certain point I thought, I really believe that women can fully recover from prostitution. Mm-hmm. So once I really started believing that, I thought, then why not set up my own organization so I can contribute that in my own way. So it started about a year ago. I really started. So now it's about to take off. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, can you explain some of maybe a story or some of the ways that you are doing that?
Yes. So for me, it's been a little crazy the past year. Mm-hmm. So I knew I wanted to set up my own organization. back then that I knew that, I still lived in Amsterdam. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do this in Amsterdam. But then I met my husband, who I am now married to, and he is an American. So I moved last year to America. So that meant that all my plans and ideas that I had for Stay With Me also had to move.
Yeah.
So the past year has been about figuring out what is already in place in Florida. That's the state I live in. What is already in place? What is being done? What does prostitution, human trafficking look like here? Because it's completely different from a country where it's legal. So on some parts, I felt like I had to start all over again. Like everything I knew suddenly was different. So for Stay With Me, that meant that shifting up gears, shifting my plans. Like the goal was the same, but when the issue looks different, you have to change a lot. So that's been the past year, researching. So now I finally feel I have a few things that I really want to focus on with Stay With Me. And then a bunch of paperwork to get Stay With Me official.
Yeah.
So then the plan is in January to like really start.
That's so exciting.
Yes, it's really exciting.
Yeah. So the little boy and Nanny, you can hear.
Doesn't matter.
He's watching Cars right now, so his favorite movie. What are some of the dangers of working in prostitution?
Okay, so besides the fact that if you work in prostitution, you never know which customer you're gonna get. So that's already a danger. It can be an aggressive one. It can be, you name it, like, so besides that, the danger is that you don't have control. You don't have control over situations. Even though you think you do not. Mm-hmm. So you can feel as a woman, okay, I know kind of what this man is like. This is what he wants. I'm going to give it to him. Or you can be at a party with other prostitutes and drugs is being used, alcohol is being used. I'm trying to paint a picture that when you're in prostitution, you can get yourself in situations where drugs is being used, alcohol, you name it. And situations can suddenly turn on you. It can turn in one snip of a finger and you can be in a nice situation that turns out bad. You just don't have control. So that's the most dangerous. There's always that uncertainty if you're safe, yes or no.
Yeah. What are some of the reasons that women work in prostitution?
Oh, they vary. I think it's also really different per country. So let's take Amsterdam as an example. That's the city I grew up in, like I said. There, when it became legal, that was in the year 2000, you saw a big influx from East European women coming to the Netherlands because they thought, okay, it's legal. I can do it for a few years, save up some money, take care of my family back home. What I'm trying to say is that because it was legalized, this false image was painted that you could just do it. Because why would they make something dangerous and bad legal? So for those women, they just didn't know what they were getting themselves into. They just thought, I'm going to make some quick and fast money. Little did they know that once they were in there, they very quickly got stuck in it. So that is a lot of stories I hear at the red light districts in Amsterdam. Like, oh, I just wanted to do it for a little bit. And but I'm planning on getting out. And then a few years later, they're still there. Here in Florida, I see that it's for many women a way to get themselves out of poverty. You know, they grew up in a poor family. They have children. They want a better life for their children. So they do this job. And some women just roll into it. Imagine being abused all your life. That at a certain point you decide, I'm going to be abused anyway, then I better get paid for it. You know, like for some women, that decision that for us seems like, whoa, why would you make that decision? For some is easy. Yeah.
It's so sad. I read a lot about foster care because I went when I was in school, I went to be a social work major. So
cool.
Yeah, and my focus was gonna be on kids aging out of foster care. And I know that human trafficking, prostitution and jail are three huge pathways that kids aging out of the foster care system go down. And it's for those reasons of the abuse, and it's so sad.
Yeah, it's what you say with the foster care, runaway kids. Those are kids that didn't grow up in a safe home where there was a father telling them how much he loves them, where there was a mother telling them how beautiful they are. So they step into this wide world without that. So you're going to look for confirmation in different areas of life. And we have to understand that human traffickers know exactly how to recognize those that are vulnerable. And children in foster care are vulnerable because they literally do not have parents. So, yeah.
Why do women choose to stay, or do they choose to stay in prostitution?
Some women, yeah, they choose to stay. Why? Because they have debt. Lots of debt. Prostitution, I think back in the day, it used to make a little more money than nowadays. But now I'm talking about the legalized sector.
Yeah.
So Amsterdam, legalized sector. Very quickly you get debts, and I'll explain you why. When you come from a country that is not the Netherlands, so you come from, let's say, Romania, Eastern Europe, you come to the Netherlands to work as a prostitute. You work, you earn your money, but you know nothing of the system that is going on in that country. You got to pay your taxes. You got to, the tax system in the Netherlands is crazy. If you do not do that correctly, you'll get fined. Then think about the lingerie you have to wear, the parties you are going to, because you are living in a scene where that is normal. That is what you do. They live in super expensive apartments. So count all that up. And then on top of that, the fines if you do not do your taxes right. And you are buried in debt. So a lot of women want to quit, but they can't. Because with a regular job, they're never going to be able to pay off their debt. And the crazy thing with tax debt is that it comes later. So you think you're fine until, I've had women, they said, I want to quit. And I said, okay, you want to quit? We look at their paperwork. And suddenly it's like, but you have 20K debt. So basically you can't quit. So that is a reason. Another reason, and that is the reason I focus on most, because at the end of the day, debt is practical, like it sucks, but we can work our way through it. But the emotional damage you get when you work in prostitution is something that keeps on haunting you the moment you get out. And it's gonna sound crazy, but while you're in it, you can kind of ignore it because there's no time to pay attention to how you are truly feeling, you got to be the prostitute. You know, you're not the same when you're a prostitute. You're a different persona than when you are at home. At home, you feel the pain. As a prostitute, you don't. Meaning, once you step out of it and you're trying to leave that world behind, your real persona is going to rise to the surface, and that is damage. So for a lot of women, once they step out or even think about stepping out, depression slaps them in the face that sometimes it's easier to stay.
Yeah.
So there is a power going on within the world of prostitution that keeps women there financially, spiritually. That goes really deep, really deep. Yeah.
What are signs to look out for human trafficking?
So, of course, you have the signs when you see someone's bruised or wears ugly clothes, not ugly, but broken, you know, so those are kind of the signs when you see someone, you kind of feel like, ooh, is something going up with that person? A lot of times something is going up. So wherever you are, whether it's the airport, a train, just go to someone with authority, report it. Mm-hmm. But a lot of those signs are nowadays not there anymore. Like, human traffickers are getting better, you know? So a lot of times the victims look well put together. So then you have to look out for other signs. And the one sign I want to talk about, and that I think is the most important, is once you feel like answers of someone seem rehearsed, that's when you kind of have to watch out. Mm-hmm. With victims of human trafficking, it is very difficult to go into depth. So the conversations will always kind of be on the surface. Mm-hmm. So once you notice that, you know, try to push through a little bit. Try to ask more questions. Why am I saying this? It's because sometimes women who are in prostitution, they will not recognize themselves that they are actually a victim of human sex trafficking. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they really believe that they chose this themselves, that this is what they do. So their answers are very short and very flat. That is when I know that more is going on. When I would sit in my classroom, for example, this is not true, but just imagine you're sitting in your classroom. There's this girl. She always comes late. She has multiple phones. And after a year, you still have no idea who she is. That's when you got to think to yourself, what's going on? Something has to be going on. If someone is not open, yeah. I talk a lot. I can talk about this for days.
I love that. I mean, it means you're passionate. It means you truly do like have a heart for this, which is amazing. So,
mm-hmm. Yes.
What is something you wish people knew about prostitution?
I wish that people would really understand that prostitutes are women just like you and me. Meaning, if you see one, you can say hello. Like, we create such a huge gap between the world of prostitution and the regular world, that they feel so disconnected from it. Because in Amsterdam, for example, people just walk over the red lights. People look at the woman, but they're actually looking at the prostitutes and not at the person behind it. Like, they're not scary people. I remember the first time I would walk in the red light district that I was thinking, oh, are they gonna like even want to talk to me? Because maybe they're like not nice or because that's what I always thought. I always thought, nah, they don't want to talk to me. They're prostitutes.
Mm-hmm.
But once you say hello to them and they say hello back, you have the very nicest conversations and you realize that they're just the same as someone sitting behind the counter at the supermarket. I know it sounds crazy, but it's the truth. So I wish that people would understand that. Yeah. It's not that big of a whole prostitutes, Like I get it. And on one hand, take it from me, it's not that big of a thing. No.
Yeah. Do you actively go out and talk to them, or do they usually come to you?
So in the Netherlands, I would go actively out there and talk to them. They will not come to me. No, no, because they don't know who you are, what you are here for. They also have a bunch of people like wanting something from them. So it's really up to me in this case to build a relationship with her. So I used to do that in Amsterdam. Here in Florida, I am focused with Stay With Me on outreach. That is one of the things that I really want to focus on. The thing is that here the form of prostitution is very different because it's not legal. So they stand on the corners of the street. They stand there and a few minutes later they're gone. You know that their pimp is probably watching closely. So because the form is so different, I do not yet know how to approach this.
Right.
Yeah.
We have I live right outside Seattle, and so just going like from it's 99 is the highway going into Seattle.
Yeah.
So as soon as you hit Seattle, they're all over. And I mean it breaks my heart driving down there to see them all. So I was just curious how to approach that.
Yeah. I've been in Seattle a few times. So I know exactly what you mean. I've seen it too. Yeah. Like I said before, they're not prostitutes. They're just women like you and me. They have their kids. This is their job, eh? Mm-hmm. They just, a lot of them, they want to earn something and they'll go back home. Some stand there all the time. Like, of course, you have different types of prostitution. But you can say hello to them. Like, it's okay to say hello to them. Like, for me, it's different because I would be going there with a goal. Mm-hmm. So I need to have my story straight because otherwise it's like, okay, so who are you? You know? But just approach them, please. Like, they're not gonna do something to you. No.
Yeah.
I
loved one of your posts about how you were talking about truly, like you said, seeing the woman and knowing that they see it as a job, and so approaching it from that angle instead of approaching it from an angle of, oh, you need help and I'm going to do everything I can to fix you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was the post that I think was the first one I really like. I had followed you for a couple weeks, I think, and then I saw that one and like really read it, and that was when I was like, oh, she needs to come on the podcast.
I love it. I actually got a few responses on that post as well, and I think it's so important to view it from their perspective.
Yeah.
Yes, there are a lot of victims that need help right away, that need saving, that are literally tied up. But there is also a different side of women that do see this as their job.
Yeah.
And they do not understand yet that it might be something that they're stuck in. So if I'm going to go up there and be like, do you need help? Can I pray for you? Can I do this? Which praying for people, love it. But wanting to save them all the time is not the way to go with these women. Not always. No. You just got to stand next to them.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
What would you say to the woman thinking about prostitution? Like the woman who is thinking about entering into that. I guess whether she sees it as a job or a means to an end or whatever.
What I would say to them, don't do it. I would say don't do it. And then they, of course, would ask why. Because your life will never be the same again. There is no story ever that I've heard that a woman that is healthy, feels good every day, says, let me go into prostitution, and comes out of it the same way. She does not. So even if you think you can do it for a few years to get some money, there will come a point in your life that period of time will snap you in the butt. Is that how you say it? Right? That's the saying, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Will snap you in the butt. It will. Sooner or later, it will. So I know of a woman, she's been in prostitution for a long time. She got out. And I think that she got out. It must be 8 years by now that she's out. And she still struggles with living a normal life. I know of others that only did it for a year, that still 3 years from that they stepped out of it, heavy depression, 1 year of prostitution costing you 3 years of heavy depression. The world of prostitution is so different that once you step in it, you got to take on all these new qualities. The quality of, you can't mess with me. I'm an independent woman. I'm gonna, And then the moment you step out of that suddenly doesn't work anymore. So you have difficulty maintaining a job. You can't have normal relationships, normal friendship. You're used to living in the night. The normal world lives in the day. I can go on and on why it is not a smart move. So I just hope that more women really understand it. But of course, there's a very big group that they just roll into it. And then what I'm saying just now doesn't apply because they roll in it because of what they've been through. So, yeah.
Why is it even a big deal? Because I think a lot of people think that it's not a big deal, that it shouldn't be a big deal. Kind of like, oh, this is their job, so it's none of your business, kind of a thing. I think.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I believe it's a big deal because I've seen what it does to people who are in it. So you cannot tell me or explain me that it's not a big deal. I also know of a lot of women that said the loudest that it's not a big deal for them. And years later, the moment they wanted to step out, they suddenly realized that it actually was a big deal. Then there are so many opinions about, do we have to legalize it, decriminalize it, criminalize it? Like, it's on and on, all these opinions, all these ideas. But at the end of the day, it's about the woman. It's about that one person that's standing in front of you. And it doesn't matter whether she's forced into it, whether she works in the legalized sector or the decriminalized sector, her personal issues will be the same. Mm-hmm. So you can have all these opinions about, it's not that big of a deal. Come on, prostitution. It's the oldest profession. Like, that's true. That's true. And many prostitutes will agree with you. But once they want to leave the world behind, they'll talk otherwise. So that's the answer. Yeah.
I've been listening to the Whatever podcast a lot, and he has people on there all the time who are prostitutes, OnlyFans, girls, all that kind of thing. And that was an argument actually one of them made in the one I was listening to yesterday, was that it's the oldest profession there is. And it breaks my heart to see women really believing, I guess, the lies out there about it. And wanting to, and not realizing how hurtful it can be to them.
Yeah. Like, because it's the oldest profession, people use that often as an argument to say, like, oh yeah, because it's the oldest profession, it's always going to be there. There's no world without prostitution. So therefore, let's just leave it alone. And, but come on, people. Not because it's the oldest profession, we should leave it alone. The moment we can leave it alone is only when women who want to step out of it can step out of it without being emotionally damaged for the rest of their lives. And I don't see that happening. Yeah. Once they get out, they have to go through such a deep process in order to be healed. Yeah. The price is too high. Like, I do want to make clear, I do believe in full recovery. I believe that women who have been sexually abused, who have been traumatized, do not have to be traumatized for the rest of their lives. But the price is high, and the route towards healing is very difficult. So it is a big deal. It is a big deal. Ask all those women who have stepped out of it if it's a big deal, yes or no. Ask a prostitute who's in it if it's a big deal. No, of course not. Of course it's not a big deal. Imagine having to admit that what you are doing is actually a big deal. Then your defense mechanism breaks down, and that cannot break down. That is what helps you survive in that world. You see how it's all connected? Mm-hmm. So women who have been in prostitution or who speak at talk shows about that it's a good profession or you can just do it, are women who have not yet gone through the process of healing.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to share?
No, I think, let me maybe look at my notes. No, I don't think so. No. Yeah, just, be very kind to these women, talk kindly over them. Maybe also do some research, because it's one of that's for like the people who listen. Like, I know you do your research, but do some research. Like, this is such a prominent issue in the world, and there are so many opinions about it. Read in on it before you form an opinion. Yeah, and think about it. What if it was my daughter? What if it was me? It's like a lot of people accept prostitution, but not the prostitute. And that's something to think about. Yeah. That is really something to think about as well. Yeah. I think that's about it.
Is there anything, what can we be praying for you about and for Stay With Me for a sec?
Okay, so it's all in the start blocks. Like, I have all these ideas, all these plans, and I feel that now it's gonna take off, all the years of thinking, hard work. So I guess just stand with me in that it really takes off. That people will add to stay with me, who can help me, and that it will help many, many women. Because, like I said, I believe in full restoration. It is possible.
Yeah.
It is possible. But in order to do that, we as organizations, we have to cooperate. We have to be so strong and so well organized. So it's not just about me, it's about so many factors. So yeah, just stand with me in that it all comes together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would definitely will be praying for that. I'll be sharing.
Thank
I
you.
love sharing your content because it's so good. And I'll definitely put your Instagram and everything into the show notes for the podcast so people can check it out.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Super. Sounds good.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really enjoyed talking to you, and the work you do is absolutely amazing.
Thank you. And you all the best with your podcast. I love that you want to share people's personal stories. Yeah, that's really nice. So good luck with it.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Good. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Getting to talk to Robin was just mind-blowing. I've been wanting to have her on for so long, so to actually have her on has been magical. I don't think that's the right word, but it has been really, really awesome to have her on, to get to talk to her. She is just such an amazing woman, working so hard to help other women. And I think that it's one of my favorite things. No, I don't think this. I know that it's one of my favorite things to see women working to help other women and just help the community. I think our community thrives when women are trying to help make it thrive, right? That sounded really dumb. But my point being that I think when we as women really pour into our community and to help it grow, it's going to grow. And I think that that's so cool. So I just am so grateful that she got to come on. She's amazing. And I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Her Instagram will be linked in the show notes, so definitely go check that out. Go follow her, please. Please. I love her content. It's so good. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. Have a great rest of your guys' week, and God bless.